Previously on Alan Wake, Alice
Like,
has been kidnapped.
we wouldn't go.
Alice?
You'll do exactly what I say if you ever want to see your wife again.
I
Right?
can't tell anyone except my agent Barry.
Damn it, Barry, they'll kill her.
You're my best friend, and I'm worried that you're not right in the head.
The ransom is a manuscript I supposedly wrote that's coming true before my eyes.
It happened just the way it was on that page. So dark.
I have found only a few scattered pages.
I want the entire manuscript.
The deadline is in 2 days.
I found Mr. Wake's pages.
Good girl.
How the hell did she get her hands on the manuscript anyway?
I don't know. She's resourceful.
It's just I have this
I
page
told you
that
you were
says
too hard on her.
beware.
Listen, I found out all sorts of interesting stuff while I was digging around.
Yeah.
Mr. Wake, it's Sheriff Breaker.
Oh,
We
hello.
have an FBI agent here, Agent Nightingale.
No, I've read about him. I don't want to talk to him.
Anxious to see you. You'd better come to the station.
Okay. I'll be right
No,
over, Sheriff.
I'm not going to do that.
Let's make this quick, huh?
I'm not going to do that.
Help you folks? Name's Randolph.
Hello,
I'm the
Randolph.
manager.
We're looking for Rose. Works as a waitress down at the diner.
Rose, sure. Nice girl.
Yeah,
Who
sure.
wants to know?
I'm Alan
Me?
Wake.
What you
The writer, huh? I heard on the radio you were visiting. Well, I'll show you her trailer. That Rose, she's a nice girl. Always pays her rent on time.
As I was saying,
Right.
Al, I found all sorts of weird
Well, hang on. We're missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Let's just brush up on
Mr.
what's
Randolph
maybe
liked
about to
Rose.
happen.
That little smile she had. How she was still sweet when life had tried so hard to make her bitter. It wasn't any of his business what she did in her trailer. But those strangers, the writer and his smart-ass sidekick,
That's us,
looked
pal.
like trouble. And they'd been in there for hours, way past her normal bedtime. He reached for the phone and called the sheriff's station.
Okay.
For decades, the darkness that wore Barbara Jagger's skin slept fitfully in the dark
Barbara
place that was its
Jagger.
home and prison. It was hungry and in pain. It dreamed of its nights of glory when the poet's writing had called it from the depths and given it a brief, terrible taste of power and freedom. The rock stars had stirred it from the deep sleep the poet had sunk it back to in the end. When it sensed the writer on the ferry, it opened its eyes. Nightingale stared
Okay.
through the broken studio window into the dark woods. He turned around, started to walk out, but Maine grabbed his arm. "Young man, you almost shot me. You don't shoot off rounds at people like that. What's the matter with you?"
Good for you, man.
Nightingale shook his arm free, marched out. His cheeks burned with rage and humiliation.
As you should, you dick.
Sarah trusted her gut, and her gut said that Agent Nightingale was an asshole. He felt wrong, and it wasn't just the smell of stale booze. It was in the way he flashed his badge, pulled rank, the look in his eyes when he wanted answers. Where was Alan Wake? What was this about an accident? Where was his wife? And most importantly, why did she let Wake go? He wouldn't answer her questions. Federal business was all he'd say.
That's not the best way to
Pipe
get
wrenched
teamwork
itself
going.
loose from the bridge's steel framework. Wrapped in darkness, it floated in midair, twitching. For a moment, I didn't understand what I was looking at. The heavy object lurched at me with impossible force. I threw myself out of the way, but just barely. When I turned my flashlight on it, it shook in a dark rage before it flew at me again.
Ideal.
I slammed the door shut right in his smug face. He pleaded for me to open the door. True to form, the asshole actually thought I would obey. I had no sympathy left, no guilt either, not for him. I took a moment to savor the scream. I bet I had a smile on my face. It was all that I had time for. The dark presence was inside the lodge with me.
I forgot about the actual murder.
The darkness surged towards me, sucking everything loose from the ground into its depths, tugging at my clothes. I saw the flare the kidnapper had dropped and threw myself towards it just as I felt my feet leave the ground. The darkness embraced me with the force of a tornado. Somehow I managed to light the flare. The darkness roared and cast me away. I fell toward the dark waters of the lake far below.
Okay.
Touched by the dark presence, Rose was lost in a dreamland where everything was drawn in black and gray crayons. The old lady had promised her that all her wishes would come true. She would be Alan Wake's muse.
Huh.
She was smiling so hard it hurt her face. She crushed a bottle full of sleeping pills into the coffee. Deep down inside, she was screaming in terror.
Yeah, I figured it must be like that.
Danny had stepped out, but what stumbled back in was something else. Something alien. A monster. Walter tried to kill it, first with his fists, then a chair. It wouldn't die. Instead, it kept coming, unaffected by the beating it had taken. After Walter managed to kick it down the cellar stairs, fear took over. He ran, got behind the wheel, gunned the engine. The booze wouldn't make him forget, but he knew he had to try.
Is this the guy that was in the cell?
With Nightingale gone and the night wind blowing in through the broken studio window, Maine stared at Sarah. The sheriff looked away. Maine's voice shook with barely controlled anger. That boy's doing more drinking than thinking. I hope you know what you're doing, Sarah. He's got a sickness in his eyes. You take my word for it. He wants Wake for a reason, and it's not for anything good. When Thomas Zane fell for Barbara Jagger, it happened fast. She was young, vibrant, and beautiful, full of life. He had never been a very happy man, and without any seeming effort, she had changed all that. Zane felt good for the first time in his life. Everything she did was another piece of a jigsaw puzzle he hadn't even known he'd been missing. And best of all, she made the words flow, strong and sharp. She was his muse.
It's before or after
Some
the
of the taken
murder.
retained echoes of their former selves, but these were just the nerve twitches of a dead thing. Nothing remained but a shell covered and filled with darkness. In most cases, these puppets were enough for the purposes of the dark presence. But for anything more elaborate, as with the writer, it was different. It needed his mind. And so rather than taking him over completely, it merely touched him.
Okay.
I stared through the bars of the jail cell. Barry stood
that's
behind
no
me,
good.
swaying on his feet, looking as ill as I felt. Agent Nightingale stood on the other side of the bars with Sheriff Breaker. Nightingale had a stack of manuscript pages in his hand. He seemed unhinged as he gloated. Well, I've got you now, Raymond Chandler. It's all here. All the evidence, including conspiracy to murder a federal agent.
My name's Alan Wake.
Things were never as simple in real
Imagine
life as
taking
in
the
fiction.
book and being like, oh yeah, this is
I'd
real.
lost count of the times I had wished there'd be a clear reason for my writer's block.
That's
Something
how
to
I
fight,
always do
something
my
to lash
crimes. I
out on.
type them on a typewriter
There
first.
wasn't. I was filled with doubt. I was nothing like the hero in my books. Alex Casey had gone through his life with single-minded determination, never wavering from his goal. Even now, I was angry at myself, angry at Alice, angry at Barry.
Ooh.
I was fumbling and I had no plan.
Damn.
Even behind the closed doors and curtains of his grimy room at the Majestic, the local motel, Nightingale could feel the locals' eyes on him, the unrelenting
I
pressure
was
of their
told not to
judgment.
go there. They didn't tell
He
you
forced
that.
it out of his mind. For all he knew, they could all be under Wake's spell already. You do what you have to
Jesus.
do to get the job done. He took comfort from the bottle in his hand. Please, he thought, just let me get through this.
What a weird guy.
Maud had checked all of Stucky's rental cabins. There had been no sign of the Wakes. It was dark when he'd found their car parked at the end of the road by Cauldron Lake. It made no sense. They must have taken a wrong turn, but there was no sign of them, and the car had been there for hours already. Frustrated, Mott stood on the rotten ruin of the footbridge that had once led to Diver's Isle before it sank beneath the waves years ago. The boss wouldn't be happy.
I bet not.
I tried to hold on to Alice, but her form melted away.
I assume he
I
works
was
for
losing
Stucky.
control. Dr. Hartman stood in her place. I wanted to hit him, but my arms were jelly. He smiled. It was a reassuring smile, and I hated him for it. I had to give you a sedative. Don't fight it. You went through another rough period. Right now, it's very important that you stay calm. We don't want you to have another episode. You're a patient at my clinic. Have been for a while now.
Wow, what a liar.
For Mott, spying on the writer on the ferry had been a disappointment. His boss had made Wake out to be something special, but Mott hadn't been impressed. He'd gotten a good long look at the wife, though, and he liked what he saw. Mott had fantasized about goading Wake into a fight, but it hadn't happened. Still, he'd get his chance to see if the writer had anything in him. He'd been promised as much.
That's the kidnapper.
Lightning
Right.
flashed behind the
Smart.
windows of Cauldron
Cool.
Lake Lodge. Tor Anderson laughed and held the steel hammer above his head. Nurse Sinclair was trying to calm him down without success.
Fuck.
Tor grinned madly and shouted, "My hammer's up. Here's a friendly poke from Molnir, wench." He brought the hammer down with all his might on Sinclair's head. "We're on a comeback tour, baby."
Fucking hell.
From the local newspaper's archives. This place is crazy. Disappearances, mysterious deaths, urban legends come true, and get this.
Getting it.
Stuff takes place around Cauldron Lake.
Well,
As it
you ain't
should.
wrong, mister. The Indians thought the lake was a doorway to the underworld. I'm the God-fearing type myself. I don't hold with that sort of.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, there was an island there owned by a guy called Thomas Zink. Now, some of the articles I found about him make him out to be a famous writer, but I ran a bunch of searches, couldn't find a single thing he wrote.
I found his books. They were in the cabin.
So much so that the place came to be called Diver's Isle. But the volcano under the lake erupted in 1970, and Zane went down with the island.
Okay. Zane went down with the island. Cool.
Come on, mister. I'll take you to Rose's trailer.
I hear you, pal, but I'm a thorough guy, you know? I don't want to miss something just because I'm not being thorough, you know?
Just follow me. It's not far.
I'm not going to follow you. It's just not how I roll, my guy. Found any pages about? Or coffee thermoses?
Listen, I got things to do. This place don't run itself.
And yet...
Yeah, how about that? It was there in the morning, as if it had fallen from the sky. But it would take a tornado to lift something like that. We're damn lucky it didn't crush any of the trailers.
So we're just not going to talk about it then? It's unlikely to have happened, so let's not address it at all. What a weirdo. This guy's an
Give me
idiot.
a break, mister. Can we just get a move on?
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I ahead of you, or what? Also, would this not be where you are? I didn't realize you had a lip. Okay, I understand the rage now. I get it. Alright, come on then, idiot. Lead the way. Thank you.
A local girl, Barbara Jagger, drowned in Cauldron Lake just a week earlier.
Barbara
They
Jagger, huh?
lovers.
Sure, Jagger's a local spook store. The Scratching Hag. Comes for you in the dark. Childish stuff like that.
Anyway, Al, I'm just getting to the best part. All of the
Is that the
articles
best
about
part?
this stuff were written by Cynthia Weaver. I asked around, and she's that crazy bag lady you met.
What bag lady are you talking about?
Yeah, anyway, she knew both Jagger and Zane before they both died, and she had some kind of a breakdown.
Okay. Was it actually a breakdown though, or did she know something, man? Like how we know stuff, you know? You know I know what you know. And I know you know what I know you know. Sandpit. Tier swing. Well. There's sweet fuck all around here, huh?
Well, mister, this here's Rose's trailer.
Thank
You
you.
mind me asking what you want with her?
We're
I'm
just here to
picking
talk to her,
something
pal.
up.
Welcome to... Oh dear.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Wake. I'm so glad you're here.
Rose, you have my manuscript?
Right.
Oh. Oh yes. Yes. Please, come in.
Barry,
Hey,
does this feel like a trap to you?
good.
Rose,
Yes,
my manuscript. I really need it.
I understand. I know what you need. A muse to inspire you.
Oh, for Barry. She doesn't have anything.
Yeah, hey, Al? Al, what's... Oh...
Barry!
Well, that sucks.
What?
Rose, how could you? How could you?
It's coming for you, hiding in my barber's skin. I'm too weak to stop it. You must turn the lights on.
You got it, Tommy.
I promised I'd come visit you
Hey,
and
Barbs.
your lovely wife. You must finish what you started.
I don't wanna.
I insist.
You must turn the lights on.
Yeah, I would agree with that second guy. Hi, me.
Back to work, boy.
Yeah, but you get away. You're gonna get a righty and a lefty if you're not careful. You big old bitch.